biggest positive for me, and I want to end the podcast on this, is the mentality of these players in this team. Resilient, determined, don't know when we'll beat. Brilliant traits to have. And these are the kind of teams that win leagues and win cups. So fantastic traits to have. Even though there's mistakes and we know we need to improve, the teams that still find ways to win and don't know when they're beaten, they go on to do fantastic things. So
the signs are good. We started off really, really well, but we just need to build on what we've done and just deal with the mistakes that we're making. If we do that, we're going to be absolutely fine.
Welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue. And on Saturday, Birmingham City came from 2-0 behind to beat Peterborough United 3-2 for a great 3 points, and Blues sitting top of the table. Long may that continue. But before we get into this game, we're going to get into the goals, talk about the lineups, talk about our thoughts on the game. We've just got a few really quick announcements, and I'm sure you've all seen the news on Saturday that sadly West Bromwich Albion supporter had a medical emergency in the stand at Hillsborough, and then on the evening it was announced sadly that person had passed away. So we just wanted to give our heartfelt love, condolences and support to West Brom, and also to the family members of the person who did pass away. And secondly, with the Huddersfield game being on the Tuesday, we just want to let you all know that we're going to be releasing that pre-match video at 7:30 a.m. on the Tuesday, just to give people enough time to watch that before the game starts on Tuesday. So let's get into it, Dad. Birmingham City 3, Peterborough United 2. What are your thoughts on the game?
Well, you can look at it. It's positive. It was a comeback victory from 2-0 down, as you mentioned. 6 wins on the bounce. And we're playing, decent football. But I also think as well that, I reflected on this. I mean, at the time of recording, we're 24 hours in now from when the final whistle went. And I've been reflecting on this most of the day. And there's part of me that just feels that, and this is not to put any damp water on what we're doing, because what we do is brilliant, in terms of being where we are. But we have to, it's almost been like a reality check, really, I think, for us as Blues fans. The way Peterborough came at us in the first 20 minutes. And we're going to analyse this in a moment. They could have been 4 up in them 20 minutes. And we'll talk about the 2 goals that did score and 2 other chances that they had. And we've got to stop doing that. We've got to stop gifting teams goals. Going forward, we look really good, really solid in midfield, creating a lot of chances. In fact, we're the highest scorers in the division. But at the back, we're sort of losing possession too easily and making it much tougher than it actually needs to be. So I think that, we realise that, when we look at Peterborough, who are a very good side, we can't roll teams over. Mm-hmm. And they're not going to roll over, and they're going to come to us and they're going to have a good go. And I just think, for the first 15, 20 minutes, particularly at home, we need to be better than that.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I took from it, not discounting the massive amount of positives. We have to be aware that is something that's going to potentially keep happening if we don't address it.
It seems to take us a good 20 minutes to get firing, doesn't it, in our home games at the moment this season?
I don't get it.
It is odd, because when we do find our game plan and our strategy, we're dominating teams and games. Yeah. It's just that first 20 minutes, we can come on to the goals in a minute. Dad, Bailey Peacock foul again with another howler.
Yeah.
We were making bad decisions, poor passing that first 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. Fair play to Peterborough. They pressed us high. And when teams do that at St.Andrews, we do look a little bit lost in the first 15, 20 minutes, don't we? But as soon as we play through that press a couple of times, we really calm down, the nerves settle, and we start creating chances. But what I will say is half glass full, half glass empty scenario. Fair enough, first 20 minutes on the poor side, we definitely grew into the game. But what I will say is what a mentality this team has. Resilience, determined. We don't know when we're beaten. And to turn, what was that, the 4th game we've been down first and we've still gone on to win the game? I think it was 4, could be wrong. Please feel free to correct me on that. But I'm taking so many positives about mentality, determination. Chris Davis on the sideline, absolutely fired up. He's actually got a match ban for the Huddersfield game, which we can discuss in a minute, because he went and got the ball from the opposition dugout. But the reason why he's doing that is because he's passionate about the time wasting, and he's in the 4th official's ear, and he's all that passion he's building, and Chris Davis just oozes that high level from his team, doesn't it? So I'm going to take a lot of positives from that. We never know when we're defeated, and they're really good positives to take. But let's get into that first 20 minutes, especially the first 2 Peterborough goals. Not good enough from the Blues perspective.
No, it's not. And I think the key thing is we've seen it in so many, particularly the home games. Now we have 4 home games, and Reading came at us. Wigan came at us. Wrexham came at us for the first 20 minutes. And now Peterborough came at us again. It almost seems to take us a little bit of time for us to take control of the game. But we're the home team. Shouldn't it be us pressing them in the first 20 minutes? I don't know. But there's something not quite right there in terms of our mentality in the early stages of a home game that gives us a mountain to go. When we went 2-0 down, it's a massive, even Chris Davies said in his post-match interview that it's a mountain to climb. When you're 2-0 down, you've got to score 3 to win, which thankfully we did.
But what I will say about that, Dad, even in the stands, me and you, we were 2-0 down, and we both said we're still going to win this. I haven't felt that as a Blues fan for ages, even though we went 1 goal down and then 2 goals down. And fair enough, they were gifts. They were poor goals to concede. We still felt like we were going to win that game.
Yeah, we did.
I've not had that feeling as a Blues fan for a long time.
Yeah, I did. But I must be when that second goal went in. We'll come on to that in a minute, as you mentioned. I said to you, we can still win this. I wasn't convinced. I was just saying to you, I think we'll win this because it was just that moment when they'd gone 2-0 up, and we were playing so bad at that point, and it was bad as well.
Yeah. Just before we get into the goals, Dad, just on that theme, right? So I just got my laptop here to reference this. So we haven't come from we haven't been 2-0 down and won the game since 2015. That's a staggering statistic, really. And we haven't won 6 league games since 1985, 39 years. Yeah. So we are smashing records, and it is impressive to see. But as you say, we need to cut out these mistakes. Let's perfectly segue into the first 2 goals.
So let's talk about the team selection first. I think we were both surprised to see Lyndon Dykes in the starting lineup again instead of Alfie May. We all thought Alfie May would be brought back because that's the same lineup that he started against Rotherham, wasn't it? Yeah. That was a real surprise, that was. I thought May would be back for this game. But I think then when you look that we've got, obviously, Peterborough, Huddersfield on Tuesday and then Charlton on Saturday, and Chris Davies said there's going to be rotation, so it's going to be hard to predict the starting lineups, which we'll get onto in a moment. But Lyndon Dykes was in the starting lineup. And again, a slow start. Right from the kickoff, we kicked off. And then the ball went to Alex Cochrane, who basically put a straight pass. They came forward and they got a corner within 30 seconds. They were unlucky to score from that corner. That's the first one. That Ricky J. Jones, I mean, he's a good player. He's
quick, isn't he?
Yeah, but the ball came across and he sort of almost like backflipped it with the back of his heel. It only just about went wide in the first minute. That could have been 1-0. And then, of course, the goal did happen. So let's talk about that. Well, you start.
Yeah, I mean, Bailey Peacock fouled out. What's that now this season in terms of goals that he's cost us? And his confidence is already through the floor. And that's a key point in this. When we did concede this goal, and it was an unacceptable goal to concede from a goalkeeper. Let's just call it what it is. That was bad. His confidence went through the absolute floor, didn't it? And you could feel every time he touched the ball, there was this unease around the stadium that he was going to give it away or not do something. And I think he was picking up on that. And that's in the end why he ended up just lumping it long for large portions of the first half. However, Clara slides it back to Peacock Farrell. He does have enough time. People have argued it wasn't a great pass from Clara, but as a keeper, you still need to deal with that and get rid of that if in doubt, And he doesn't deal with it. He doesn't even come close to dealing with it. And fair play to, was it Jones who ended up putting the pressure on? Ricky J. Jones put the pressure on, slid in and it went in. And there was just a sense of around St.Andrews, here we go again, wasn't it? It was just how many times is Bailey Peacock Farrell going to make a mistake before Allsop gets rotated in? I think that has to be the final straw. I think against Huddersfield, we have to see Allsop start. This is the 4th time, I believe, now that he's cost us a goal. And if we were an average League One team, Dad, this would be costing us points. It's because we have an exceptional attacking team that we're managing to get 3 points out of these games.
Mistakes like that cost you games. A couple of things on that for me, on that goal that Ricky J. Jones scored. Firstly, it was played to Bailey Peacock Farrell. I don't think there's anything wrong from the pass from Clara. No. I think the pass was absolutely okay. I think the problem is, if you look at the position of Bailey Peacock Farrell, he's actually in front of the goal line. He's not like at the side of the goal. He's actually right in front of the goal. And of course, if he's going to get tackled, of course it's going to be a goal. The second thing as well, if you notice, when the ball comes across from Clara, Bailey Peacock Farrell tries to take a touch to knock it to the side, whereas if he'd have put his foot through it straight away, that goal is unlikely, not impossible, it's unlikely to have happened.
Highly unlikely.
So if he'd have put but he didn't, he took a touch, didn't he? And then he just slid in and it was a goal. And I agree with you, I think there's too many mistakes. I think because of his confidence now, I think he needs time as number 2 to build back his confidence. And I think we've got a goalkeeper there waiting to come in Allsop. I don't see any reason why now Allsop shouldn't get his chance. The only thing that I'm reluctant to state completely that Chris Davies would do that, because it depends on whether Chris Davies wants to stay loyal to him. But Chris Davies is the head coach. He's got to produce a team that is capable of winning games. And if we keep making mistakes like that, then he can't continue to let it happen. If he goes by our song, Chris Davies knows exactly what we need. We need to change the goalkeeper.
Exactly.
I mean, that's the reality of where we are right now. We need to have Bailey Peacock-Farrell, he needs to be number 2.
So Bailey Peacock-Farrell has cost us a couple of goals with the ball at his feet. Definitely against Peterborough, definitely against Leyton Orient. But you could argue as well, even the Wigan goal, he should have saved that.
We went through his hands.
It was straight down. It was bread and butter stuff for a goalkeeper. So it's not even ball at his feet. It's also his shot stopping and everything as well. So I would like to see a rotation, please, for the Huddersfield game, and let's get Allsop starting.
Let's go on to the second goal because
so first of all, I want to say on the second goal, the ball that played him through before they got the corner was offside. He was half a yard offside, and again, if you watch the replay, it kind of takes a bounce and a deflection, and then it goes through. That player is offside. I think it's Jones again.
It is Jones. He's got pace, hasn't he?
Yeah.
But if that had gone in, it wouldn't have been given offside because the lino kept his flag down, or the assistant referee, whatever they're called these days. But he kept his flag down. That's the other chance I was talking about. So that could have been 2-0 at that point. And obviously, if that goal had gone in, they wouldn't have had the corner, I suppose. So it would have been a goal, anyway. But anyway, let's talk about that corner because that was, to me, this goal was just as disappointing as the first goal, in my opinion. Yeah. So that is so basic.
Yeah.
And I think Chris Davies is not going to be happy with that. I don't know what happened.
Especially when you've got Clara and Bielek and Williamson. You've got we've got a tall team now. Well, averagely, we're a lot taller and physical than we have been in recent years. That is bread and butter stuff from a set piece. That swinging in at the near post, in line with the near post, easy free header.
So someone ain't done their job, have they?
Someone ain't done their job, exactly. And what I would say is there's something in the water at the League One level because a lot of set pieces get fair play to League One teams. I don't know whether you agree with this, but they're a lot more dangerous at set pieces. And I'm seeing a lot more goals going from corners. I'm seeing a lot more threats going in. I mean, Wrexham scored from a corner. Peterborough have now scored from a corner. League One teams seem to be pretty decent at set pieces, but from a Blues perspective, really poor goal to concede.
Very disappointing. That's 2-0 after 16 minutes, that was. And we're thinking, well, what's going on here? It's 2-0. And the Peterborough fans are singing, can we play you every week? Yeah. And then, obviously, we finally started to kick into gear and got our goal back, first goal back from Williamson, which I keep looking at. I think that's the best team goal we've scored all season, in my opinion. Fantastic play down the left, great cross from Hansen, and actually Williamson's positioning to get him into that place, onto that near post, and it was a really tidy finish as well, wasn't it? So that was a great goal, and it was really important at that stage that we got that goal because if we'd have gone into half time, they were even at 2-0. They were starting to waste time, players going over.
Don't get me started on the time waste. This is why Chris Davies keeps getting bookings on the side because he's moaning that the teams are burning the clock down after 10 minutes. As soon as Peterborough went 1-up, they were burning the clock off. It was embarrassing. And
you turned around to me and said, if we go up in this game, they'll regret all this time wasting. Because at that point, they're just rolling over it now.
Rolling around.
There was one player got injured over the goal line and rolled himself back on the pitch again.
That drives me nuts. And slow goal kicks, slow taking their corners, slow doing set pieces, rolling around. Absolutely embarrassing.
Why don't referees start booking goalkeepers if they keep hold? Well, I think it's a 6-second rule. They're supposed to release the ball within 6 seconds or at least put it on the floor and then play it because it's out of play when it's in their hands. But you never ever see a referee, and that would be if they were to book a player, and it would be an indirect free kick to the opposing team in the box, obviously where the goalkeeper has it, but they never do. And the goalkeepers, Jed Steer, he must have been taking like 25 seconds sometimes to release the ball.
It's embarrassing.
But anyway, the second goal came. We were 2-1. down.
Also, we would be naive as Blues fans to not think that every team's going to come to St Andrews if they've got a lead and then pull all the dark arts out of the pocket. They're going to do that, but it's down to the officials to make sure that it's kept in the rules of the game because we are a team based on momentum and speed and, Chris Davies doesn't want to slow the game down. And when you do these things and it cuts the momentum out of your play, it really does work. It completely cuts the momentum of your attacks. It's down to the officials, the fourth officials, the linesmen, whoever's involved in the game to stop this and cut this out.
I'd say would help with that as well. Just don't concede first because it gives them something to roll over for, doesn't it? If you do. So if we don't do that, then obviously that's going to reduce that significantly because teams to get anything out of the game, we have to come at us.
Yeah.
So good goal from Williamson. So it was 2-1 at half time. We had that chance as well from Lyndon Dykes before that with the header.
Yes.
And again, good play down the left, good cross, and he actually headed it right at the goal. But actually, when I looked at it, it was the defender that stopped that, not the goalkeeper.
Yeah, and what I will say, Dad, is when we So in the first 20 minutes, 25 minutes, we were passing it sideways, quite slow, quite passive. When we sped it up like we did against Rotherham, when we sped it up like we did against Wrexham, we started looking really dangerous. Higher tempo, we look really dangerous. We can score a lot of goals at this level if we pick this tempo up. So just an observation in the second half of the second part of the first half, when we sped up and played with a bit more intensity, we started creating chances again, didn't we? And we need to start doing that from the minute 1, not minute 25. So a big thing for me from the first half was 2 poor goals to concede, a great goal to score, but we could have created a lot more chances. Again, we started to create a lot more chances when the tempo went up.
Yeah, and we had a few chances, and then half time came, and then Chris Davies made 2 substitutions. So
changed the game.
He did. He replaced Dykes and Hansen with Anderson and Wright, and Wright was outstanding.
Outstanding, absolutely brilliant. His speed, his dynamicness, his directness. He was going at players. He's fast.
He brought energy.
All sorts of problems he was creating. What I like about him, he just goes like a rocket ship, and he was at them, he was quick, and
it made a massive difference.
I thought Scott Wright and Keshi Anderson, but more Scott Wright arguably, completely changed the game in the second half.
And I think as well that shows Chris Davies as well, because the managers we've had in the past will leave things as they are. You know, we don't get changes till about the hour mark, but obviously he's seen that things needed to change. And to be fair to Hansen, he didn't do anything really that bad. You know, he obviously had the assist for the goal, and he created a few other chances as well. But I think this is where we have the squad to be able to try and change things, give them something different to think about, and Scott Wright definitely did that. And then of course, 4 minutes into the second half, we had the Jay Stansfield swiveled. It clipped off Oscar Wallin and went into the top corner. Actually, we were celebrating as a Stansfield goal, but subsequently it was given as an own goal.
It was an own goal.
Who cares? I mean, you know, at the end of the day, it's a goal's a goal, and that made it 2-2, and that gave us then impetus to keep going, and then we got a third goal, which was in the 66th minute, where Paik played a short corner to Water. He crossed the ball over to the far post, and then Bielek, I say headed it in. I think he hit the top of his arm to go in. And, we've had them given against us before. So people will say, oh, that's a handball. But over a season, they all balance themselves out anyway.
I think that's karma for the whole game last year. As in, I'm just.
But that was like that for the whole game.
It is a point though that it's levelled. If you go arm for arm, it's kind of a decision for a decision. And I genuinely believe those decisions level themselves out of the course of the season, like you just said. As many go for you as many go against you. So So
I think in the second half we kicked into gear, and we looked more like in the second half we definitely looked more like the team that we've seen.
And also after about 70 minutes, Dad, we're noticing this, and we said this at the game. Peterborough looked shattered.
Yeah,
we were again completely in control at that point.
I think Darren Ferguson said that in his post-match comment.
They were shattered, and we were just passing it around then about 70 to 90. Pretty, they had a couple of chances. I think Peterborough, Dad, if we're going to give them a bit of credit, they're arguably the best team I think we've seen this season, in my opinion. I think they did high press. They did have a game plan. They weren't a bad team. I mean, in the second half, we passed it round them again. They were kind of chasing shadows for large parts of it, and we were in control. But in those little pockets they did have, they're quite a dangerous team actually, Peterborough. I think they will be playoffs region this season, if I'm honest, in League One, and I think they are one of the better teams that we've seen.
I think they'll take a lot of points off other teams as well. To get the win against. I agree with you. They're a good side. They've got pace in their team, and they play some decent football when they had the ball as well. So they're not a bad team whatsoever. They look bright. I mean that Ricky Jones. We all thought that it'd be Kwame Poku would be the main danger man, but he had a fairly quiet game actually. But that Ricky J Jones, he's going to be a top level player.
And have you got their names and the team sheets for Blues? And, what was their number 22? He was in their centre midfield. I forgot his name.
Cipriano.
That's the one. I thought he had a good game as well. He looked pretty good in midfield. He likes to take control of the game. I mean, he could only do as much as he had with the players around him. I don't mean that disrespectfully, but when you're playing Blues with the calibre we have, he can only do so much. But he's a good player, I think. Him, Poku, Mothersil's a good player. They didn't have great games. I thought Poku was invisible.
No, he was pretty quiet, wasn't he?
But they do have some good players.
It's Ricky J Jones. I mean, like I say, he could have had a hat trick in the first 15, 20 minutes, really. But I think all teams that come to us, in League One, they're going to have good players. Just because they're League One, you think, they're not going to have any good players. Every team has got good players, and they definitely had some stars in there. I mean, but to me, I didn't know much about that Ricky J Jones, but I'm going to keep an eye on him for the future because he's definitely a good player. So fair play to them. I think that was based on that performance. You wouldn't be surprised to see Peter in the playoffs.
I wouldn't be surprised. No.
Definitely, but overall, like you said, Matt, the positives are we came back from 2-0 down, so we showed resilience. Mm-hmm. We kept going. We did dominate the ball. I mean, 70% possession was ours, and Peterborough a team that liked possession as well. So to do 70% to them is actually pretty good. And so in the second half, we definitely dominated that game. Yeah. We give them a few chances. The things that I didn't like though is that we gave the ball away too easily. Sometimes we made mistakes.
Too many mistakes.
It was just sloppy. And towards the end, we were 3-2 up, and towards the end, the ball was in our own penalty box, and we had the ball, and we were passing it around. And the one time we actually passed it to a Peterborough player. Yeah. If he'd have put his foot through that rather than try and lay it off, I think that could have been a goal. Yeah. So basically, we're creating our own problems.
Yeah. I'm all out for playing out from the back, but don't do it when they're on the attack and they've got 8 players in the box. Get rid of the ball. Clear it.
Particularly, I know. I get the principle. If you keep possession,
but not when they're on the attack.
No. I get that as well. So it's basically, there are going to be occasions when you need to hoof it, and I think the decision making needs to be better. I think Cochrane, one of my favourite players, but I think that's probably one of his lesser impressive games for us. He gave the ball away too much, but I'm not criticising him either, because over the course of what he's done so far this season has been brilliant. Yeah. Dykes was a little bit invisible, I felt, apart from that one header. And I think we'll see big changes. Not big changes, but we'll see
a bit of rotation
when we obviously get to the Huddersfield game.
I thought Gardner-Hickman had a really good game at right back again. I thought Bielek was good. I thought Stansfield ran the front line incredibly well again.
I've got to jump on that, Matt, because everybody knows Jay Stansfield for his goals, right? And he does score lots of goals. But then you watch his work rate and the way he's pressing. It's like if you put him and Alfie May in the same team, they're going to suffocate teams because they're not going to. But Jay Stansfield is so impressive because his game is far more than goals.
It's ridiculous.
But you don't realise that because he gets the highlights for the goals. But we watch him. Yeah.
And also Williamson was amazing, and Paik as well were incredible. Just finishing off my little list there of credit. A lot of them had a decent game, but there was a couple of outstanding performances.
It was the mistakes that were the problem, because I think every player, when we're on the ball, we're fine in terms of moving forward. But actually, we're creating our own problems, and that's what's got to be cut out. Mm-hmm. We're giving and gifting teams chances, and we're gifting them goals. That has to stop, because that will catch up with us if we keep doing that. And that's the thing that frustrated me the most, which is why I thought, is this actually a reality check for our team to think that we can't just turn up and and just expect to be, because you looked on the score predictions, like look at social media, Blues fans, 4-0, 5-0, 6-0. It's only Peterborough, but you could say that about any League One team. But it shows you we're going to have to fight, and I've said this before, for every single point and every single blade of grass.
This is exactly why in every pre-match video, Dad, I say we need to be humble and we need to give the opponents the respect they deserve. That's not saying that we're not going to win. We can't win every game. That's not saying that we're not capable of winning 3-0, 4-0. We are going to have that a few times this season because we are outstanding at this level. But Peterborough deserved the respect, and 3-2 proves it. And fair enough, we were sloppy at times. We made some mistakes. Those 2 goals were gifts. But the scoreline says 3-2.
Yeah, but I think as well, to win a game like that, that's how teams that win championships win it, by winning games like that. Because if you look back on in Peterborough could argue they deserved to draw, not a win, they deserved to draw. But I think on the balance of possession and chances, I would say that we deserved to win that game.
We did deserve to win.
Yeah, but we look at obviously the Peterborough press. They're going to say this, and so one of them said robbed, because they're saying they're focused on it was a handball for Bielek's goal and stuff like that. They weren't robbed. Because we had other chances that we haven't spoken about where we had a shot from Stansfield that just went to the left of the post. Where I think was it Paik had a shot in the first half that so there are other chances that we have. So it wasn't robbery at all. Peterborough played well. And they didn't deserve to win that game. We deserve to win that game, but they played well. They played very well. But there's always goals in Peterborough games.
There is. Although Wrexham drew 0-0 at the weekend. I was going to say there's always goals in Wrexham games as well. They are the 2 teams in the league, in my opinion, who generally have pretty high-scoring games. Yeah. Bolton are quite involved in high-scoring games as well. But Peterborough, for sure, as soon as you see that scoreline, it's 2-2 as a minimum. There's always more goals in the Peterborough game. But you know what? Fair play to them. They came with a plan. They had a high press. They caused us problems. Not a bad team. I expect them to be playoffs, in and around the playoff mix-up. But overall, I think a well-deserved Birmingham win.
Yeah, I think so as well. And just obviously full house again. And obviously, did you see the queue for the club shop?
Absolutely insane.
I think everybody's after that third kit,
including me.
But
sold out.
We are in the Upper Tilton, so we go in the Tilton turnstiles, and the queue for the shop when we arrived was actually past those turnstiles.
It was.
We had to cut through to get to get in. So obviously they selling a lot of those. So you could tell a lot of people proudly wearing them at the game as well. So fair play to the Blues. I think that they picked another good top there.
I agree. And final thing for me, just reiterating it, we've said it many times now, the biggest positive for me, and I want to end the podcast on this, is the mentality of these players in this team. Resilient, determined, don't know when we'll be, brilliant traits to have. And these are the kind of teams that win leagues and win cups. So
Yeah.
fantastic traits to have. Even though there's mistakes and we know we need to improve, the teams that still find ways to win and don't know when they're beaten, they go on to do fantastic things. So
yeah, the signs are good. We started off really, really well, but we just need to build on what we've done and just deal with the mistakes that we're making. If we do that, we're going to be absolutely fine.
Yeah, agreed. So as always, Blues fans, we'd love to hear from you. And Peterborough fans, maybe you're tuning in to get our thoughts on the post-match analysis. Please let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think 3-2 was fair? Do you have any thoughts on the goals? What are your general observations and thoughts on the games? We'd love to hear your point of view. And as always, myself and Dad will get round to those comments as soon as we can. We do respond to all of those that come in. And if you like this video specifically, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up and check us out on our social media channels. We have an X page, we have an Instagram page, and you can also check us out on our Spotify channel as well now. And please don't forget to hit that big red subscribe button so you don't miss any future content all about Birmingham City. And myself and Dad will see you on the next video.